Hey everyone, welcome back to Body Haven Soaps. My name is Darlene and I am the owner and creator of Body Haven Soaps, and on this channel we go over recipes, formulas, how to formulate, different ingredients and all kinds of stuff to help you develop your own recipes. So if that's something that interests you, please feel free to subscribe and follow along and be notified when new videos are uploaded. Today's video is going to be on a cold process bubble bath. Now I don't sell per se bubble bath. I do make a hot processed bubble bath that I use for a base for different things like my bubbling salts and things like that, which I'll get into at a later video. This is a cold processed bubble bath and it requires no heat. It's just a simple, quick recipe that has very gentle surfactants to create those bubbles and things like that I generally make a small batch for my grandkids when they're looking for bubble bath. So I'm just going to show you how I go about doing this, and let's get into it. So of course, guys, like always, you want to make sure that everything is sanitized, that you have everything clean, sanitized. This is a water-based product. I'm going to move this a little bit closer for you, okay? Because this is a water-based product, okay? So in this bowl, I just have distilled water. And for the distilled water, you guys are putting 325 grams of distilled water. That's all that's in this bowl. And then we will add into this. Now, we do not need to heat this up. This is a cold processed bubble bath recipe. So first thing you're going to do is you're going to take your preservative, and because we're not heating this up, we're going to stir this right into the water. So we've got a preservative, okay, and I am using Dermal Plus, and I have 5 grams of Dermal Plus, and we're just going to dissolve this right into the water. Because there is water, you do have to use a preservative in this, unless you're making a super small batch that's going to be used up within a day. It does need to have a preservative in it. So 5 grams of preservatives. And we're just going to stir that to make sure that that's all dissolved in the water. And while that's all dissolved, we're going to set that aside. You're going to take a small dish, okay? And inside this dish, I actually have my SLSA, and I have 25 grams of SLSA in here, okay? And I'm going to take the SLSA and I'm going to blend it with some glycerin because I want to add some moisturizing properties to this. So I have 10 grams, okay, of glycerin here. And if I need to, I can use a little bit of the water to finish hydrating this, but I want to make a paste. So we begin the dissolving process of this, and I am going to take a small amount of water. Do not put too much in here, you guys, because the water will just make a bunch of bubbles, but we want to make sure that the SLSA is all into a paste, and the glycerin works really well to make that paste. And you want to make sure all the lumps and stuff are out of it, so you're going to smush it all up. I'm actually going to use a little bit more water. And it's all going together, so it's okay if you use a fair bit. We just want to make that nice lump-free paste out of this. So that it dissolves lump free. It's kind of the purpose of this. So you're going to make a nice paste out of this. So you can see how nice and light and fluffy that gets. It absorbs quite a bit, but you want to make sure you get all the lumps out of that. Now you can run it through a sift if you want, but this stuff is very airborne. It's very light, so then you get that coughing effect and stuff. You should always wear a mask when you're working with this stuff. I just find it's less airborne and probably healthier for us if we do it like this. But you can see that I now have this really nice paste consistency. That's what I'm looking for. Okay, so now I'm going to take the paste, and I'm going to stir it into the water and preservative. So we're just going to get all of that in there. And it's going to get a bit foamy, you guys, and you'll be surprised how clear this gets once the bubbles settle out of it. Okay, so you want to just gently stir. Try not to make too many bubbles, and just dissolve that paste into that water. And it takes a minute. Okay, don't rush it. You don't want to get too many bubbles. If you start seeing too many bubbles, simply take your rubbing alcohol and spray them, and the bubbles will go down. You'll be able to see how many lumps are in there. But you want to make sure that you mix it well enough that all the lumps. Okay, and I think I have the majority of the lumps out of there. Okay, so it's just going to be a white, milky paste like that. Okay, liquidy, not a paste anymore, but it's all mixed up. Okay, so that's that. Now, that is our first surfactant, okay, that's going to create those bubbles. And it helps to create lots of bubbles, but there isn't a lot of stability in it. So when the bubbles start in the tub, what happens is they deflate right away, because there's nothing to hold those bubbles stable. Because we want that nice foamy kid-like bubble bath. All right, so now I have a container here that I have my secondary surfactants in. All right, and I have 100 grams of cocoa betaine. I have 20 grams of dichloglucoside surfactant. Okay, and then I have 20 grams of BSB surfactant. All right, so there is a total of 140 grams of a secondary surfactant in here, and they're all a different consistency, and it's kind of important that you don't just use cocoa betaine, because if we just use cocoa betaine, what's going to happen is you're not going to have that solidified, you know how bubble bath is kind of a thicker consistency. That's why we want to add the different ones. So I'm just going to make sure, because you can see there are different thicknesses in here. So we're just going to stir that up, mix them together in here. Okay, and we'll just pour that into here. And these will help thicken it and will help hold the stability of the surfactants when it gets bubbly. So now you're going to stir this in, and you're going to create some bubbles, you guys, and that's okay. Just make sure you get it really well stirred in. And you can see that this just thickens right up into that bubble bath consistency, and it's kind of getting that jelly texture to it. And that's what those other surfactants do. Now I have a few lumps of that SLSA in there yet. So sometimes it takes a bit of stirring, guys. I wouldn't suggest using the immersion blender to blend this in, because you're going to create a lot of bubbles. But you can see how nice and thick this is getting now. And that's what's going to give this the stability. Okay, now that's it. That's a base. That is your base. Now you can see I still have some, I don't know if you guys can see it, I still have some white parts in there. Okay, those will begin to dissolve as everything settles down. I'll put a lid on it and stir it a couple times, and it'll all go actually clear. That white color is bubbles in there. So as those bubbles come out, okay, this will turn into a clear bubble bath. All right, so if you're going to add fragrance, like I say, sometimes I just use this as a base, but I use my hot process more for a base. This is just one that I whip up for my grandkids most often. And you can put your colorant and fragrance in at this point. So I am making this for my granddaughter, so I will put in a Love Spell dupe, okay, fragrance. It's one of her favorite ones, so I'm going to put that one in there. And you know it's got kind of a yellow tinge to it, but I am going to color this as well, so you won't see that. But if you were to put a fragrance in with a color, obviously when it clears, you're going to have kind of that yellowish tinge to it, like so. And if it gets too thick, this is actually getting quite thick. I can add more distilled water to this, and that's fine, guys. Oops. This is just Diva liquid dye that I got from Fizz Fairy. Which will make a really nice color in the tub. I am going to add a little bit more okay, and as I said, don't be scared. This is getting a little thick for me. I'm going to add a little bit more water. And it takes a minute to stir that water in. Okay, and then we just simply leave this sit, and this will actually turn translucent. You can see that it's starting to go translucent. The air bubbles in there is what's making it that opaque color. So I'm going to leave this sit for 12 hours or overnight, and I will bring you back once it's all clear. Okay guys, so this is a number of hours later. As you can see, it's no longer opaque looking. All the air bubbles come out of it. Now, if you notice, it's quite a bit thinner. It's still that consistency of a bubble bath. But remember when I was mixing it earlier and it was really thick? Don't be tempted to put too much water in it. It does thin as the air bubbles. It's thick like that because it's building that foam inside. Let the air bubbles sit, and then it will become a lot looser and more of a jelly, like a regular bubble bath. Okay, so a really simple recipe to do. A couple things to keep in mind: don't get too carried away with adding more water to thin it out. It does thin out as the bubbles come out of it. And then also the fragrance. You guys notice I only put in 1% fragrance. Okay, you don't need a lot of fragrance in a product like this. It's not like in a soap or something like that where it's going through the saponification and everything else. So this is very fragrant. I've put in the 5 grams, 1%, okay, and it smells amazing. So you don't have to go too crazy with your fragrances in this. So that's cost effective as well. All right, now as far as packaging options, you guys, I mean, I just went to the dollar store and I grabbed some different containers. So I got one like this that's got a little cork top on it, or glass top. This one here might be a little harder to fill, this one, because it's got such a narrow top, but I thought it was kind of a cute bottle. It's got a little cork that you would have to make sure that that was sealed by a tamper-proof thing, but it's kind of a cute bottle if you're going to sell it. This was kind of a cute little bottle, and it's got the little rubber stopper in it as well. And these are just things I went to the dollar store, you guys. And then we've got bottles like this. So there's plenty of options for your packaging and stuff, you guys. So, I mean, you can go and buy, like, you know, cases from the soap suppliers and what have you. I just bought these for examples for you guys. You can put biodegradable sparkles in this. You can make whatever fragrance, whatever color. It's a very simple recipe, easy to throw together. And the surfactants that are used in it are very gentle surfactants. So it's great for kids. All right, so I've sanitized these containers already. So let's fill a couple of these, because then I will put labels on it. So as you guys can see, it's pretty simple. We'll fill one just with this pink colored. When you're filling your container, you'll get a few air bubbles in it. And those will settle out. So you can see that the air bubbles in there kind of give it that color. But those air bubbles will all come and settle out of that. And this will become a very clear, bubbly bath liquid. So just leave the lid off and let those bubbles come out. Let's try this one here. This one's kind of got a yellow tinge to the glass, and I'm not sure how that will look, but we're going to try it. Just so you guys can see about how much this makes. Okay, and that doesn't look too bad in there. Kind of got a shimmer to it. And then once again, just let the air bubbles come to the top because you're pouring it in there. Let's give this one a try, because I mean, it makes about this many bottles. Try not to make a mess this time. Let's put some sparkles in it now. So make sure when you're doing this that you're using biodegradable sparkles that are safe. Okay. One place I like to get them from is Mad Micah's. Fizz Fairy has a whole ton too, and I've used their sparkles. I really like those. If that's something that's a little bit more up your aisle, but just make sure that they are definitely skin safe, because I know Mad Micah's does have some that are not biodegradable, and I really look for the biodegradable skin safe for my products. Now, stirring this in, I'm going to get some more bubbles in there. So I spray that top, and it helps bring the bubbles to the surface. Okay, and the velocity of this, it should hold that glitter up. That's why I'm saying don't add too much more liquid to it. All right, and we have the one with sparkles in it. I don't know if you can make that out, that it's floating around, right? But you can see maybe the difference there. But this one's definitely got the sparkles, and they're staying suspended in there. So it works perfectly. And then just leave the lids off. You can see how it's getting the bubbles to the top. Those will all pop and all those bubbles will come to the top and it will get clearer. Okay, so now you can see that the bubbles are coming to the top. We've got different containers. Your options are endless, and this is a pretty simple recipe to throw together. I use a different one, which I'll show you guys later, for my base product for other products that I make. But as far as a bubble bath that I just give to my grandkids and stuff, this is a very gentle surfactant, and I like using this one. And then I will just label it with my grandkids' names on it. And this is also something I have done for a birthday party before. Well, that's not even staying in there. That one's got a slippery top. That one went in nice. Okay, so obviously this container here, once it gets slippery, that plug's not staying in, so that might not be a good container for this. This one worked well, these ones worked well, so trial and error, right? All right, so hopefully you guys, this is an easy recipe. I just thought because my granddaughter had asked me to make her some, that I would just quickly show you guys how I do it. And it's pretty simple and straightforward, and you can get like the big sparkles, like with the different things. I'll just quickly, I'll run a tub here and I'll show you how foamy this stuff gets.